little interesting development that comes to us from the Telegraph. Now, this could just be as a result of people trying to fill the time between Pope Francis either being declared has gone to our Lord or being released from the hospital. Everybody's kind of just playing the game at this point. Hell, we did the first night by talking about, hey, look at the College of Cardinals setup, and this is what it would look like, yada, yada, yada. And I made the declaration, probably why this is being talked about now, that popes don't retire. And so now, apparently, Pope Francis could retire because why not? If you listen to my old show, it isn't the first time that I've made a prediction and been completely wrong. If you want, I'm kind of like the Mad Money guy. If you want to see how a prediction is going, whichever way I say it's going to go the completely opposite way. Just bet on that. So there you go on that. Pope Francis could resign over ill health, says Cardinal. This was released today. Pope Francis could resign over ill health, says Italian Cardinal. Cardinal Gianfranco Ravizzi, the former head of the Vatican Department of Cultural Affairs, raised the possibility of the 88-year-old pontiff spent his 6th day in the hospital battling pneumonia in both lungs. He said the Pope has always been decisive and hinted that he might voluntarily step down as the head of the Roman Catholic Church if his health restricted his abilities to fulfill his duties. The Cardinal said the Pope has a tendency to fight, but if he was no longer able to communicate in an immediate, incisive and decisive way, weird way to say that, he may consider resigning. There might be a little bit of a translation issue there. I think he could do it because he is a person who is quite decisive in his choices, the Cardinal said in an interview with the Italian radio network RTL on Thursday. Quote, he's always had the tendency to fight and react, and that is a legitimate choice too, because he has been able to handle trips in very difficult and challenging conditions like the one to the Far East. However, there's no question that if he has found himself in a situation where he was compromised in his ability to have direct contact, as he loves to be able to communicate in an immediate, inclusive, and incisive way. Once again, really weird. I believe he might consider retiring. I don't really know if that's a good idea. I didn't like it when Pope Benedict resigned. I don't like the idea that the Pope resigning and living out the days, because then you have dual popes, and then the idea of having dual popes, even though one's retired, there's still a cult of personality that follows that one, much like with Pope Benedict. That's why the Catholic Church has always kind of been of the mindset that you stay until you die, essentially, much like a monarch. I'm not saying the Pope is a king, but it's much like a monarch in that regard. And some people are thinking that he's too entrenched with power to resign and too stubborn to give up. Maybe. It's all a lead trial balloon. When something happens with the Vatican, they have to call dire Pope Francis health scare. The USCCB just sued Trump. Liz York keeps talking about Doge and the Catholic Church. All right, so you think this might be a distraction technique? Yes, but that's my big thing. It sets a bad precedent if you have Benedict resign and then you have Pope Francis resign. I'd rather him just stick it out. Because from everything that's saying, they haven't given specifics on his health, but he's still in the hospital and he's still recovering, and everything seems to be going in a positive direction. The more likely outcome from this is just, once again, as somebody said, I think it was Mendez said correctly, is a trial balloon to see if this is something that the public would like. I hope the public pushes back and says, nope, we want Pope Francis to stay, because especially the standard of having multiple popes alive and walking around is not good for the faith. It's not good for the church. And the fact of the matter is, with this, it'll be a case where he just goes to the hospital more and more and more. I mean, the guy's 88. And this isn't just about Pope Francis. This is my life. The way I look at and the way I approach death in this regard. And this is from a guy who lost both my parents around the age of 60. They both died in their 60s. My father's anniversary of his death was the 13th, a couple days ago, 16 years. And my mom died a year before that. She was 59. He was 60. And so The way I've always looked at it is if you get to 80, if you get to the year, 80 years of age, anything past that is usually a bonus. And obviously, when anybody dies, it's sad. They move on from this earthly plane. But if you make it to the age of 80 and you can get to a place where you receive our Lord and you're in a state of grace, you can't ask for anything better than that. There's, as you go through life and you meet so many people who you're like, oh man, my buddy died. He was like 25, or my buddy died. And he was like 33, or you see these people, this person died at, 39. You realize how much of a gift it is to get to old age. I know a lot of people freak out and they get worried about it. But it is also a gift in that regard. And, the Holy Father is 2 years away from being 90. So whatever happens, I just hope that he stays in a state of grace. Hopefully he uses this as a wake-up call, right? You never know with these kinds of things. But this is now the rumor that's being floated out as some people in our chat on YouTube. And you can join, please, at youtube.com, or if you're on Rumble, jump in and let me know what you're thinking in the chat as well. Hell, if you guys are on X, let me know what you're thinking, because it'll jump up on StreamYard as well. Let me know what your thoughts are on the idea of Pope Francis resigning. Should he do it? Should he not do it? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's a very interesting point, Michael, that he's resigning at the same time it's all coming out that USAID had a pretty serious role in the last conclave and so forth. And yeah, it would be interesting to see how that would move going forward. So, like I said, folks, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, as we are on day 6 of Pope Watch.